USS Carl Vinson, CVN-70, is the third Nimitz-class carrier. Her keel was laid down on October 11, 1975 and commissioned on March 13, 1982, giving her a construction time of about 6.5 years. Named for Georgia Congressman Carl Vinson, known as the father of the two-ocean navy, the carrier was actually launched in late 1980 while Congressman Vinson was still alive. USS Carl Vinson departed Norfolk in March 1983 with carrier Air Wing 15 embarked for her maiden deployment, an 8-month around-the-world cruise before arriving in her new home port of Naval Air Station Alameda, California, arriving in October 1983. By the late 1980s, Carl Vinson was already a workhorse. She had twice crossed the Pacific and Indian Oceans, even becoming the first modern carrier to operate in the Bering Sea. In summer 1988, she departed to the Persian Gulf in Operation Earnest Will, escorting U.S. tankers during the Iran-Iraq War and earning an award for her flawless flight operations. After a 28-month overhaul starting in 1990, she missed the 1991 Gulf War, completing yard work as Desert Storm raged. In 1994, she steamed again to the Persian Gulf for Operation Southern Watch, patrolling Iraqi airspace to deter aggression. In 1996, her squadrons flew sorties in Operation Desert Strike, punishing Saddam Hussein after he attacked Kurdish civilians. By 1997, Carl Vinson shifted her home port to Bremerton, Washington, preparing for the new century of operations. In February 2001, during pre-deployment of underway workups, Carl Vinson hosted actors Gene Hackman, Keith Owen Wilson for the filming of the carrier scenes for the film Behind Enemy Lines. During this 2-week period, Carl Vinson crew members took part in the filming along with actors and film crews. Later, prior to commencement of Operation Enduring Freedom, David Keith returned to Carl Vinson on station in the North Arabian Sea to present the first international viewing of Behind Enemy Lines to the combined ship and air wing crew. On September 11, 2001, Carl Vinson was en route to the Indian Ocean. In response to the attacks, she changed course, racing northwest to the Arabian Sea. On October 7, 2001, she launched the first carrier airstrikes of Operation Enduring Freedom. For over 2 months, her air wing flew 4,000 sorties against Taliban targets, a contribution Vice Admiral Charles Moore hailed as the most significant in the nation's response. After returning home in January 2002, Carl Vinson underwent a swift overhaul, and by early 2003 she was back at sea. In January 2003, Carl Vinson departed for another deployment, this time to the Persian Gulf. When the US launched Operation Iraq Freedom, Vinson's cruise was extended by an extra 8 months. Her Hornets and Tomcats struck targets in Iraq and supported ground troops until September 2003, when she finally steamed for home. The 2000s also brought tragedy. 2 Marine pilots from Vinson's Air Wing were lost on combat missions over Iraq. After a 7-month deployment in 2005, the carrier entered her mid-life refueling and complex overhaul in Newport News. She completed this between 2005 and 2009. She was then homeported at Naval Air Station North Island in San Diego, California. Even as a warship, Carl Vinson proved invaluable in disasters. In January 2010, just days after the devastating Haitian earthquake, Vinson was en route to the Atlantic when she was ordered to Haiti. The carrier's helicopters and medical staff suddenly turned to a life-saving mission. Her Sea Knights and Super Stallions shuttled aid to devastated areas, and the ship's huge desalination plant pumped fresh water for survivors. After Haiti, Vinson sailed around South America and was then repositioned to San Diego. Whilst in the Arabian Sea, on May 2, 2011, the body of Osama bin Laden was brought aboard Carl Vinson and buried at sea. She then visited Manila. She even made headlines in Hong Kong later that month, taking aboard supplies whilst the Chinese media swarmed the flight deck. In March 2018, Vinson steamed into Da Nang, Vietnam, the first US carrier to visit Vietnam since the end of the war. Sailors joined Vietnamese Navy units in joint drills, a symbol of changing times. The sight of an American carrier off the Vietnamese coast in 2018 was historic and underscored Vinson's 40-year journey from Cold War stalwart to diplomatic ambassador. Through all these missions, Carl Vinson has kept pace with new tech. In mid-2015, she completed a refit, receiving $300 million worth of upgrades. That upgrade even included the Navy's first carrier-based UAV command center, preparing her for the age of drones. In late 2014 and early 2015, Vinson was back in the Middle East again, this time fighting Islamic State. In 2021, Carl Vinson achieved another first. She took the brand new F-35C Lightning II jets to war. The carrier's Air-Wing 2 included the first operational squadron, VFA 147, equipped with F-35Cs. Her last scheduled maintenance period, a 6-month PIA, was completed slightly ahead of schedule in December 2022. Since then, she's been deployed far from home, departing San Diego on November 18, 2024. Vinson's deployment showcased the global reach of a carrier strike group. She initially operated in the Pacific, transiting through Southern California operations areas near Hawaii and across the Mid-Pacific before entering the Philippine Sea and South China Sea. December 2024 saw a port visit to Malaysia. In January 2025, she operated in the Gulf of Thailand with a port visit there. February took her through the Philippine Sea and waters near Korea, including a port visit to Busan. March involved Exercise Freedom Shield 25, operations near Japan, a port visit to Guam, and transits through the South China Sea. By April 2025, Vinson had moved into the Indian Ocean, then the Arabian Sea and Gulf of Oman. As of late April 2025, Carl Vinson was operating in the Gulf of Aden, part of US Central Command Area Responsibility, having taken over duties in the region from USS Harry S. Truman. This deployment path demonstrates the strategic flexibility required of the carrier fleet, able to shift focus from the Indo-Pacific to CENTCOM based upon evolving global security needs. Vinson's role in integrating F-35Cs and CMV-22 Osprey carrier operations is particularly significant. As one of the first carriers to deploy with these next-generation aircraft, the lessons learned aboard Vinson regarding tactics, maintenance and logistics are invaluable for the entire fleet, including the new Ford-class carriers, which are designed around these advanced platforms. Vinson is expected to serve until around 2032, based upon her 50-year design life, though extensions are possible. She is slated to be replaced by the Ford-class carrier USS Doris Miller, CVN-81. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the history of USS Carl Vinson. Thanks for watching.